Hello, welcome to RevelatorAlf. Hope you're enjoying the channel and the series of videos. This is a very special Oh My Harley, and I'm joined live from San Antonio in Texas, all the way over there in the US of A, by Justin from Bike and Bird YouTube channel. Hello there, sir. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. Thank you for coming on. We're going to be talking all about bikes and on-road and off-road sorts of stuff and your kind of channel. But for those of the audience who don't really know about your channel, tell us all about yourself.
My name's Justin. I live in San Antonio, Texas, like you said, over across the pond. Yep. I've been riding pretty much most of my life. I got into the street bikes around 18, 27 now. Started off on a Honda CBR. I think it was a 2009, and quickly realized that was not the thing for me. Sold that bike, and about a year later, I got my first Harley. Right. And in between those two, I was a professional videographer. I was traveling the country, actually filming competitive paintball, which not a lot of people know about, but it's actually a really big industry. And that's what I did for a living for about a year and a half.
Wow.
So when I found out about motovlogging, it was kind of just a no-brainer because I had all the skills, I had all the gear, I had the bike now. So just kind of jumped into it, and been doing it for about 3.5, almost 4 years.
Right. So your channel is, it's hard to say what kind of a channel it is, because it really intrigues me. You know, I've been following you for quite a while, but it's part tech, part motovlog, part bike building, build series type, part Family Guy kind of feel about it. Do you know what I mean? And not Family Guy as in the cartoon Family Guy. I mean, it's just a really cool channel.
Thank you. I try to keep it as fresh as possible. I don't like to get myself stuck in a rut. So yeah, it did start off pretty much as just a motovlog channel. Just, riding around talking to myself. And then I started doing I started doing bonus. I called them bonus videos at the time. It was literally, like you said, just completely not bike related, just almost like a daily vlogger type thing. Yeah. And then I had the itch to go ahead and tear my bike apart, and I did that, and that caught on very well, both as far as like the channel progression, as well as I just really enjoyed it. I've always liked tinkering on things, but I guess once I finally tore a bike apart and had it painted and put all these parts on, it really just lit that fire under my butt to keep doing it. So that's kind of been my main focus for the last, I'd say, about 2.5 years, is just taking bikes that are pretty much as stock as possible, tearing them down, painting them. I don't like to build bikes. I know people get, worked up about calling it a build series because I'm not building anything, but the tear down bikes and bolt shit on series just doesn't have the same ring to it. So, but I really enjoy taking a bike from stock and turning it into something one of a kind.
So that first bike you did, now what was that? Was that the CBR or was that the Harley?
No, the CBR was way before the channel. The first bike was a 2014 Harley Davidson Iron 883.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was completely stock outside of exhaust when I bought it. I bought it used, but completely tore it down and pretty much replaced, I would say, about 80% of the stuff on the bike, either replaced it or changed it in some form or fashion.
Wow. Okay, brilliant. Raul, listen, I've got 12 dirty dozen questions to ask you, all about biking and motorcycling and the motorcycle scene, as it were. I'm going to do this inverted commas thing because people seem to dig that kind of thing. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and we'll sort of have a chat, really, just like two old friends, over a beer. I don't know if you drink beer, but we'll pretend you do for the sake of it. Okay, right. So here's the first question. What motorcycle are you riding now? And what was the last one you owned and rode?
So right now, in my name, I have a 2018 Fat Bob 114. Ooh. That is the one that's going under the build series currently. I also have a 2018 Road Glide Ultra. That was the last build series. And then for dirt, I have a 2013 Honda CRF 250R, which has been converted into an enduro bike. And then
Nice.
I kind of took place in this one, but my wife just got a 2008 Yamaha TTR 110 pit bike.
Nice.
And then the bike right before that, the one that left the stable, the latest was a 2017 Dyna Street Bob.
Okay. Yeah. I love those bikes, actually.
That one was a very popular build.
Yeah. It was a great bike, the Dyna Street Bob. Love that.
It was so much fun.
Yeah. So, okay, we're going to talk about those in a little bit. But I'll tell you what, that CRF 250R, how you finding that?
It took a lot of getting used to.
Yeah.
I always used to ride more of the like more performance oriented trail bikes. So like a 250X. So learning how to ride a motocross bike took a little getting used to. So far I've to make the conversion easier, I did some gearing work in the rear. Just replaced it with a Recluse clutch. I'm actually getting new enduro tires put on as we speak. Some suspension upgrades here and there, but now that I'm starting to kind of learn the bike and learn how to ride it, it's been a blast.
Yeah. It's always the way, isn't it? You get on a bike, whether it's on the road or off on the dirt, and it takes a while for you to get into that rhythm and into that comfort zone, and then you just you find what works for you. So I mean, I've always been a big fan of modern bikes. This is modern sort of enduro bikes. Enduro is more my thing, really, I suppose. But the Yamahas, I love the 250 WR 250s and the 450s as well. 450, I think, is a bit too overkill, I think, for the most part, but the
for most enduro tracks, it's going to be a little bit overkill.
I think 250. I mean, I've just come off a big adventure bike, and I used to ride that like enduro for about 3 years, and they're just way too heavy. And in every video I was making, so look, gotta get a lighter bike. You gotta get a lighter bike. So I was advising people, go and get a lighter bike. Don't do as I've been doing. Go and get a lighter bike. But
you have to have a lot of talent, a lot of strength to make one of those things quick.
Well, I'm not sure I had any talent, and the strength. Well, it was. Put it this way: it's a very good workout.
For sure.
It was a very good workout. Right. Okay. Brilliant. Right. Let's get rid of that question then. Next question then. Look, what do you think? I'm going to expand on this question a little bit.
Okay.
But what do you think of the technology that is coming out on, the newer generation Harley Davidsons, especially, I suppose, with the 2020 rollout in the, in the Taurus with that RDRS and all that kind of good stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think it's about time for them to keep up with the market, because I mean, that technology has been in other brands for, I want to say, going on close to 5 years now. I have ABS on both of my Harleys now, and my first bike I had with ABS was actually my 2013 Triumph Speed Triple, that saved my butt so many times. That I really learned to love the technology.
Sure.
The only thing that I dislike about it is that there's no option to turn it off. Because I mean, not so much on the touring bike, because I'm never going to want to turn it off on an 1,100 pound bike. But the Fat Bob is, I mean, it's a torque monster, and it wants you to, go and hoon around the streets, and not being able to lock up my rear wheel and do stupid shit. Just, it bugs me. That's one thing I love about the Dyna.
Yeah. I hadn't realized on the Fat Bob that you couldn't, because you're absolutely right. When I test rode that last year, the 114, that's exactly how I described it. It's a Harley hooligan bike. That's exactly what it should be. This isn't long distance. This isn't, your touring bike. This is just going out, having a big fun, and putting a big smile on your face. But I hadn't realized you couldn't burn it up. I hadn't realized that.
No, that's actually, I almost went with the 107 just for that reason, is because if you get the 107, it's an option. It's an upgradable option, but on the 114 it comes standard, and you can bypass it. I mean, it's not hard whatsoever.
Sure.
But you can't bypass it and then turn it back on. At least to my knowledge, there's no way to do that as of yet.
Do you think there comes a point. Okay, in motorcycling in general, let's say first of all, and then we'll kind of narrow it down back to Harleys. But do you think there's almost they've gone too far with technology now? And I kind of take if you take the sports bikes or you take the big adventure bikes, you know, you've got hundreds of modes for riding, and it's almost like people are losing the art of just, you know, manipulating the throttle.
Yeah,
a lot of the time.
I wouldn't say they've gone too far, but I think it's extremely close to that.
Yeah.
Like, I would like to see some sort of linked cruise control, just because when we do the long rides, we do them with as many as, 15, 20 bikes. So, if you're the lead rider, you can just kick on the cruise control and you're good. But everyone else has to sit there and constantly, judge their distance with the bike. And I think that's one area, kind of like an adaptive cruise control in the cars that could catch on. But other than that, I don't really want them to touch anything else. I know Honda's got a patent on a bike that pretty much rides itself. Sure. There's no kickstand or anything. At that point, it's just like, why you even have a bike?
Exactly. And I suppose this is what I'm angling at, really. There will come a point where you think, well, I'd rather walk.
Yeah, exactly.
or whatever. Anyway,
that's why I like dirt bikes, because they're barely getting away from carburetors.
exactly, and I like that. I like that they are bare bones. They're basic-ish, and well, I suppose that's not exactly true, but you know what I mean. They are meant for the dirt, and they are meant to be. What I love about dirt bikes, any kind of dirt bike, enduro bike, whatever, I just love the fact that you can, bin them on the ground, and you just pick them up and you just ride on. There's none of this, oh my god, I've dropped my bike and I've ruined my paintwork, and my chrome's got all scuffed and all that kind of stuff. No, it's just pick it up, and off you go. I love it. Yeah, brilliant. Right, okay, next question. You're doing great, by the way. Fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, really good answers. They will get a lot harder, honestly. Honestly, it'd be like being interrogated by the FBI or something like that.
Would be the first time.
There we go. Well, you have to tell me about that. Yeah. Okay, right. So, you've already answered that. You've been answering. You've been riding bikes for a long time. You started off, with the CBR. Was that right?
That was my first street experience, but I was riding dirt. I was riding dirt pretty much as early as I could walk.
Oh, bro.
My dad actually grew up racing motocross. He's got a big barrel full of trophies and everything. So he's super. He's so good. I wouldn't doubt if he got on a bike today. Even, he hasn't ridden dirt in probably 15 years ish.
Yeah.
He could probably still beat me. Like that. This guy, even at last time I rode with him, he was probably mid 40s. He would still just blow the doors off of most people.
Yeah.
He was so good. But my first experience I remember was when I got my first bike with a clutch. I want to say it was a Honda 125 F. And he pretty much said, like, all right, here's your clutch. You kick it into gear, you rev up the motor, and you let the clutch out. No, easily let it out. So kind of gave it some revs, dropped the clutch, and looped it. That was not a good day. I remember that was not a fun day at all.
Well, you got to learn somewhere. Brilliant.
Absolutely.
I would love to meet your dad. I think we'd get on like a house on fire.
Yeah, he still rides to this day. He still rides the 2018 Limited.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. He's still riding.
Fantastic. So I suppose this is quite a difficult one to answer, I suppose. But what would you say is your best time riding? Not necessarily your best time ever, but what would you say is the thing that really, puts a smile on your face?
Like what type of riding?
Yeah, or what kind of experience that you've had? You can say, wow, that was a really cool ride or something.
I have to say, just these long road trips that I take with my group, just because it doesn't matter where we're going. We could be going to the middle of nowhere. We have, and it's always fun. It's always a blast, even when it's just completely, for example, we rode when it was 41 degrees. It was completely dark in literally the middle of the desert with wildlife running out from every direction. And we got there and all of us, I mean, even though our faces were frozen and knuckles hurt, everyone just had the biggest smile on their face because it sucked, but it's something that we're going to remember for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
And it's just the thrill of adventure. It's just, you never know what's going to be around the next turn. It's addicting.
Yeah, I think you should write a postcard or a book or something of that experience, because that kind of epitomizes what a great experience on a bike should be. You got friends, you got adventure, you're on the edge a little bit. You're never really sure if you're going to be eaten by zombies or you're going to be taken out by a kangaroo or something. It's that for me is the kind of thing. I remember speaking to a fella last week, and I was saying that for the last sort of 3 years I've been doing a lot of off-road riding again, and it was amazing to me that just getting off the highway, a bit Doc Hollywood style, get off the highway and actually just get onto some dirt trails, get onto the back roads or whatever it is, and it's another world. It's another world of riding, and it's just I would always say that if you're fed up with a rat race, just go out and seek a bit of adventure. Go
and live a little bit.
Absolutely. Right. Here you go. Do you like customize? I don't know. Would you say you customize bikes?
I love to customize bikes. I love to customize everything. I mean, everything in my life is customized in some sort of fashion.
Right.
Like my truck, I just spent the last 3 weeks painting a piece for my truck, kind of teaching myself how to paint.
Right.
I mean, everything in my life is customized in some way.
What truck have you got?
I've got a 2016 Toyota Tundra.
Oh yes, I know that. Yeah,
big
we don't have that over here. It's too big for over here.
Yeah, it'd be way too big.
Yeah. I do like.
They'd actually build them here in San Antonio is where they're actually built. So I mean, they're all over the place here, but they don't export them very many places.
Yeah, no,
I think they are exported to Australia, but I think they're about twice the cost.
Right. No, it's I used to live in the States many years ago, and always loved the trucks, the bikes as well, of course, but the trucks, bikes and trucks for me. It's always been the same. Okay, so so what's been your favorite one? I don't know if we've the build or the bike that you've customized. You talked about the Dyna, but was that your favorite or was that the fans' favorite?
I mean, each one of them has a special place. Kind of asking what kid do you love best?
Well, I know which kid I love best. It's that one.
I like how a comedian put it. He goes, I love all of them. I just like one of them more.
Yeah, exactly right.
I don't know. I mean, the Dyna was definitely one of the most memorable. It definitely took the longest too. It was also the first build that I had any sort of sponsorship backing, so that helped a ton.
Okay. Right.
But I would have to say that I liked building my Rogue Glide Ultra just a tad bit more, because it was more challenging, because I'd never worked on a touring platform before, and I quickly learned how different it actually was. That plus I actually got to tear into the motor and things like that, and I think I learned more on that build than any others.
Yeah. What the Rogue Glide Ultra, was it completely stock when you got it, or had somebody been tinkering around with it already?
No, both the Dyna and the Ultra were I bought them brand new.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The only reason I almost never buy new, but I bought both of them like the week before the new ones came out, and I was getting them out the door for less than a used one. So I just got a killer deal I couldn't pass up.
Yeah, it's funny. I get sort of emails, ask. I don't know why people ask me this, but I get people asking me, when is a good time to buy a bike? And so just before the new model, or just as the new models are announced, in that period when they're trying to get rid of of older stock, as it were.
Yeah, mid-August to mid-September is when it is for us.
Yeah. I noticed the dealerships over here, they had some cracking deals on some 19 bikes actually, as they were rolling out the 2020 bikes for the last the September, October. So definitely worth having a nose around.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Right, next one then. Next question. your channel, you know, it's, as I say, I love it. I love the channel. I love the different elements. You know, it's like some channels you'll watch and you think, okay, it's just repetition. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. You know, a bit like me. But you know, and it's nice to have a channel that's different and it has different elements to it. You know, it's still motorcycling per se, or you know, this is a bike guy and whatever.
Yeah.
But what do you like doing most on your channel? I mean, what's the kind of thing that you really get a kick out of?
It's got to be the road trip videos, just because it's always a fun time. And I think this goes back to when I was a videographer, photographer. I didn't like, you know, doing, I shot one wedding one time. I was like, I'm never doing that again, just because it's so boring.
Yeah.
But I like to be challenged. I don't like to be able to repeat what I just did. So it's like, if you miss it, it's done. Because that kind of puts you on that edge. So having the, you know, notion of I have to get this shot, I have to get this covered, because we're only going to be in this town once. We're only going to be doing this thing once. It's challenging to me as a creator. Because I mean, like MotoVlogs, I can go out and shoot 5 in one ride. I've just been doing it for so long. I can knock them out back to back to back.
Sure. Yeah.
Bike builds are starting to get like that. They used to take me like 3 to 5 days just to edit. Now I can knock them out in 45 minutes. And that's without any sort of, in my opinion, any sort of degradation in the quality or anything like that.
Yeah, sure.
I will say that how-to videos and reviews are my least favorite, because they take so much work, but they are the most rewarding as far as views and subscriber building and things like that.
Sure.
And I personally feel like I am good at them. So that kind of, I don't like doing things I suck at. I'm one of those people that, like, if I suck at it, I'm just not going to do it.
Yeah.
So doing something that I feel like I'm good at is pretty much the only thing that gets me to do it. But to answer your question, it's got to be the road trips.
Let me ask you a question. We'll get back to the road trips in a bit. On the bike build videos or series, I found this many years ago when I was trying to document my bike builds, or any time I was working on a bike, and I document it, usually with photographs, and then I build up like a ledger of you know, photos, and try and document exactly what I did and everything like that. It was for no other reason, just to have it on my shelf to say, oh, look, I did that. You know, this is pre-video era. But I had the same problem when I got into videos, making YouTube videos and things like that, was that it almost interfered with the build. It almost got in the way. And I was just like, I can't be bothered to do this. I just want to work on the bike. Do you ever get like that?
Absolutely. And that's why, like, I'm kind of glad that I've gotten into the dirt side of things. And that's honestly one reason why I started customizing my truck, is because for me, working on bikes was kind of a release to, you know, get my mind off of things. And then when the video started coming into it, it's like, oh man, I got to make sure I get this shot. I got to make sure I get this shot. Oh, absolutely. It takes probably about 3 times longer to video something than to just do it. So it absolutely interferes, but I kind of also have that end goal. So I'm kind of working on 2 projects at once.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of how I look at it. It's not, you know, I've got to get this bike done and document it. It's I'm working on the bike build, and I'm working on the bike build video.
Absolutely. Yeah. I fully understand that. Let me ask you about the you know, the group rides or you know, the going on road trips and things like that. So now, are most of these with friends or by yourself, or a mixture?
It's almost always with the group. I have never taken a solo trip before. That'll be changing this year. I'm actually planning a very large solo trip, but all the trips prior have been with at least 2 or 3 buddies.
Can I ask you where you go, or what? Or is it all hush hush? Can't say.
It's somewhat hush hush, but I'll be doing 7 states in 7 days.
Nice.
Yeah, it's going to be around. It's going to be around 4,000 miles total.
Nice. That I love a bit of long distance riding as well.
Yeah.
I got to say, I do love that.
And that's kind of just to also challenge that, because I mean, I rely on other people when I'm making these videos to, you know, make sure my batteries are charged or make sure I have my cards or whatever. This one, it's literally just me, my bike, and the road, and just see what I can make of it.
Yeah, on bike charging, loads of that, loads of splitter leads. Love it. Oh yeah, I've got it all worked out. Come over here. Let me tell you all about it. Let me ask you this question about group rides, and you're making videos, you're trying to capture the moment, the essence, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Do you are your sort of friends that you're going with, are they into the YouTube thing? Do they kind of get it? Do they understand it? Are they YouTubers themselves, or okay, we're not allowed to call it YouTubers anymore. It's all content creators, whatever. But you know, are they into it as well?
None of them have a dedicated channel.
Right.
So two of my buddies, Roblox and Uncle Ken, we actually have a podcast as well. It's called Between Two Wheels. They are, especially Roblox, he is very content oriented. For me, that's honestly one of the reasons why I'm doing this solo trip, is because I'm so not self-aware, but I'm aware how everyone else in the group is feeling as well. So I'm probably way less selfish when it comes to the content than I probably could be before I piss anyone off.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, oh, I don't want to pull the group over here and, you know, get that shot, because maybe not everyone wants to stop.
Sure.
But there's been times where they're like, hey, if you need shots, like, let us know. Like, we don't mind pulling over. I've even had there's been times where Roblox has stayed back with a group, and then me and Uncle Ken have rode ahead to send up the drone, and then he would bring the group through so I can get shots and things like that. But I have about 4 or 5 really close riding friends. Yeah. And they are all 100%. They're not, you know, they'll do anything that they can to to help. And that's just how our group is. I mean, if someone called at 3 a.m. needed a ride somewhere, I mean, 4 of us would be there to pick you up.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you mean with that. You know, if you want to do things with other people, you do kind of, you're grateful that you're just having a blast with your friends. You're grateful for that. But you're right, you're kind of conscious of what are they really into this? Are they, you know, do they really want to do it? All that kind of stuff. But so for me, whilst I would prefer to be with, you know, other riders, other friends, actually I get the most done, the most efficient riding, if you like, or the most efficient video work is when I'm by myself.
Yeah,
when I'm by myself, I just know what I'm doing, and that's it. I just go for it.
You can go wherever you want too. I mean,
exactly. And if I'm doing an endurance ride or something like that, I love this long distance endurance ride, and I always get people say, "Yeah, can we come and join you and ride the leg?" And I'm like, you can. It'd be great if you came and joined me, but I'm not stopping. You know, I'm just going. So
that's so true when it comes to dirt. I remember talking to a lot of guys before I got back into it, and one of them said, if you want to make sure that you ride a lot, ride alone.
Yes.
And that's absolutely true.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I remember just thinking about inviting a couple of people out to go on the big adventure bikes about 2 or 3 years ago, and I soon realized that, you know, I'm getting better all the time on this big adventure bike, which really you shouldn't be taking it off road in those extremes, which I was, and I was just thinking, if somebody else comes here, we'll never get anywhere, because we'll be constantly, you know, stopping and, you know, whatever. So right, okay, great answers there, thanks for that. Right, next question then. Here's a very good one. What do you think of the by the way, we're laughing here because I put the questions here. Now obviously if you're listening to this on the podcast, you won't know what's coming up, but we know what questions coming up here. So what do you think of modern motorcycle scene and cultures? What about sort of social media, YouTube bikers scene, all that kind of stuff?
I think it's disruptive, but in a good way.
Ooh.
So I don't know how it is over there. Of course, we're talking completely different cultures between the UK and the US, and they would even change talking, you know, Texas versus East Coast versus West Coast.
Yeah.
But in our area, I feel like the motorcycle scene is growing, despite what every article you read out there is telling you.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do a lot with the social media, not specifically YouTubers, but just social media in general. I mean, you have to admit that, back in the 70s, when the only people that were riding around were these motorcycle clubs, I mean, that was pretty intimidating to someone who didn't grow up around that lifestyle.
Sure.
But now, I mean, with the exposure on social media, you see it's just, these are just everyday dudes with bikes that like to go ride. So there's not that intimidation factor that I feel like used to exist back in the day. That veil has kind of been pulled back. And then, I mean, I got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, I do think that the YouTube, motovlogger scene did help. I mean, not so much, people like me, but I mean, the guys that have been doing it for 10 years now, you scroll through the comments, every single one of their videos, people are saying, hey man, I just got my first bike because I watched your videos. I mean, even if each person had 5 people, I mean, there's 1,000 motovloggers out there. That's 5,000 people right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think what was it? I was watching recently, and they were talking about this kind of thing. They were talking about the growth of pop culture, of motorcycle culture, and of Facebook, I think it was really, and all these Facebook groups and Facebook biker groups that started up, and they're kind of linking it to bike clubs and everything. And it's just like, well, people always want to reach out to other people. They always want to talk to other people. And I think the social media has just made it easier.
Stupid easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, absolutely.
What about in your area? What is the motorcycle scene like in your area? You said you lived, 2-3 hours from another town. Is there a big sort of road bike scene, or is there a big dirt bike scene where you are?
I would say where we are, it's pretty split 50-50 with Harleys and street bikes. And I'm just now kind of skimming the surface of dirt bikes. So I don't really, feel comfortable saying what the dirt bike scene's like. Yeah. I know pretty much every track I've been to has been, pretty packed. So I would say it's doing pretty healthy. There's nothing really close around our area, just because San Antonio, it's the 7th largest city in the US, and it's very spread out. So you kind of have to get outside of town to find any place to ride. So, I mean, like the closest place to ride to me is about 45 minutes. And that's pretty much in any direction I can find a riding place around 45 minutes. But yeah, like I said, I know the motocross scene is very healthy, and they have a national track right outside of town that brings in, they have the AMA races and everything there. So I would say it's pretty healthy. The Enduro circuit, I feel like the struggle within the Enduro circuits around here is just the lack of riders and the distance between the riders. For example, Houston's about 3 hours east of us. They kind of have their own little thing. And then there's like 2 or 3 competing circuits in the Austin, San Antonio area, which are about an hour apart. Right. And then about 4.5 hours north of San Antonio is Dallas, Texas, which has their own little thing. And then, of course, you have everyone out in West Texas, which is about 12 hours away, that kind of have their own little thing. So all together collectively, Texas has a lot of enduro riders. They're just so far away from each other. It's hard to get everyone together. Yeah. The series I'm going to be racing in this year is called the Texas Off-Road Championship, and it's actually merged with a side-by-side racing league as well. So they have the dirt bikes go, and then after the dirt bikes finish, the side-by-sides go. Right. But that brings in, I want to say, quite a few riders. I know in my class alone, there's about 40 to 50 riders. So, and there's probably at least a dozen classes. Right. So, it's pretty big events. Yeah. Yeah. And what about for the kind of thing that you're doing, on YouTube? I know you got your friends that you go out riding with, but are there any other kind of people doing similar kind of things in your area, or is that kind of, I wouldn't say YouTube biking scene, but is there kind of a other media biking scene out there? If there's any sort of media, it is usually YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a handful of YouTubers here in the San Antonio area. I wouldn't say a bunch. I'd probably say maybe about half a dozen or so.
Right.
But they're all pretty small channels. When you get up into Austin, which is about an hour north of San Antonio, you've got Motonosity is up there.
Oh yeah.
You've got what's the guy's name? Of course, I go blank. Hunter Honda is up there.
Okay.
And then you go up to Dallas and you've got Jake the Garden Snake, Yami Noob. I mean, some pretty big names.
Yeah.
And I don't know any out of Houston, but I know there's got to be a ton because it's just such a huge city. But we used to.
Sorry, go on.
We used to have the Texas Motovlogger meetup every year, which brought in, I want to say probably close to 1,000 people, if not more.
Wow.
And we didn't have it last year because at the time Motonosity was living out in Georgia. So we didn't have anyone to really organize it. Yeah. Hopefully that comes back this year.
Right. You said earlier on, I can't remember if it was before we started recording or afterwards actually, that you meet up with the likes of John Maxwell. Were you with Adam Sandoval for his record-breaking events as well?
Yes. Me, Maxwell, and Sandoval were the three headline YouTubers per se that were kind of helping spread that. And both times I've seen John, it was for the world record ride. So we tried it in 2018 and failed miserably. Right. And then we teamed up for 2019 and crushed it. So that was well worth it.
Yeah, I think it's just a great achievement. I think I was involved. Well, I wasn't involved per se. I was just like one of the people who was there with a world record attempt a few years ago for the biggest toy run in the world, and that was over here in the UK. Well, actually, it probably wasn't the biggest, but it was the first one that was ever documented by the Guinness World Book of World Records. Huge
difference there. People need to understand that.
Yeah. So exactly right. Yeah. So just because it's a world record doesn't necessarily mean it's the biggest. But anyway, but this thing that you all did, I thought was fantastic. I think it was a really. I think reading between the lines and watching his videos prior to the event, I think what people don't understand, or sometimes they may understand, but they don't really fully grasp the enormity of what a logistical nightmare these things are.
Not only that, but having it in a town as isolated as Paris, Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, Paris is almost an hour and a half outside any sort of metropolitan area. So, I mean, you're talking about a city of, I don't know their population, but it's down there. I mean, probably under 50,000 or so.
Oh, right.
I mean, it's tiny. Just a handful of restaurants, a handful of hotels. And I was talking to Adam quite a bit right before the event. And man, the stuff that they had to do to get that to work out. And especially I think the biggest challenge is that imagine planning for a party where you can have anywhere between 1,000 and 6,000 people. And you don't know the head count until 24 hours before the event.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people had some things to say about it, and we're bashing him. And I think the way I sum it up is you spent $10 to $15 to donate to charity. Don't expect the red carpet to be rolled out. Like, you were here to break the record. You were here to, get your name in the record books. You were not here to go on vacation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, and this is what I suppose what I'm angling at, when I said that I just don't think people fully appreciate what it takes, and what an absolute headache it is for anybody who's organizing any event. I mean, I know guys who organize rallies and everything, and this, I'm always hold these people in such high esteem because of the work that goes into these things, and these things aren't paid usually. Most people are volunteering, and just.
Every single person out there was volunteer that day.
Yeah, exactly. So it's you want to do something, you want to be part of something on a given day. And look, you can't expect everything to be fantastic. It just, life doesn't work like that.
No,
whatever. I mean, people have individual issues and individual gripes. I understand that, of course you do, but I think sometimes it's And I think also, I mean, I don't know this from you guys, but I know this when I've organized things in the past as well. It's very easy to get caught up in this whole thing of organizing an event, and then everything can be going great. Then it just takes that one negative comment or one somebody's having a bad day, and it just ruins the whole thing for you. You're just like,
it can snowball real quick.
Yeah, and it's I've worked my ass off trying to make this a great thing for you, and you can, so yeah.
I had to. I'm a numbers guy. I'm a financial analyst by profession. So when I heard that, I think it was like 4 or 5 people went down due to heat stroke. We worked out the numbers, but it was like 0.00 something percent of the people were affected. And I had to, me and my wife were talking, and we attend a very large like rock concert festival every year. Yeah. And I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of people. And at one year it was extremely hot. I mean, temperatures above 100 degrees, people were passing out left and right. Yeah. And I was like, you're talking about an event that was sponsored by multi-million-dollar companies with thousands of employees, and they still had these issues. Yeah. I was like, a 0.00 something percent on a event that was completely ran by volunteers for charity. That's a huge success in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even a statistic. In reality, it's not even a statistic.
And I mean, like they brought that up with. We went to the Lone Star Rally this year, which is the biggest rally in Texas. About 450,000 people came, and I think they had 2 deaths. And once again, I worked out the math. I'm like, it sucks someone died, but 99.9999 of people were not involved in any sort of accident.
Yeah.
And I mean, you got to give it up to the event coordinators for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're never going to be perfect.
No, and I think you could say this from any event, whether large or small. There's always going to be problems. There's always going to be issues, but for the most part, you're going to go to these places and have a good time, and you're going to come away from them thinking, well, it was a great event, or whatever. You might not want to go there again, but it won't be because the event let you down. It's just something that you'd rather do something else.
And I mean, going back to the record attempt, that was only the 3rd time that had been attempted. It's one of those things that you can fix a lot of things, but the fixes to some things might cause more problems. But what I love about Adam is I talked to him right after the event, and he's like, I think we did great. If we had to do it again, I would change X, Y, and Z. It's not like he's blind to this stuff. It's just on paper, it's one thing, and in real life, it's a whole nother thing. There's a reason why companies build prototypes, because you can run as many models on the computer as you want, but until things are in the real world, everything can change.
Absolutely right. But I was very impressed with the way it went off, actually. From afar, obviously, we're from afar looking at it, and you think, well, actually, because I've been involved with things that had to be organized on that scale, and it does take a lot. And my hat's off to everybody who's involved.
Not only that, but I mean, when you're dealing with Texas weather, God, good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, okay. Let's get back onto bikes, shall we? Because this is something, actually. This is everybody talks about the Livewire right now, so we'll briefly talk about that, because I want to talk about the Pan America more with you. So what do you think of the Livewire first of all? Because you've ridden it, haven't you?
I have, and I absolutely loved it. They nailed that bike.
Really?
And this is not, I am a very unbiased person. If that thing sucked, I would tell you it sucked. I'd be the first person to tell you that. I'm one of Harley's biggest critics. The Livewire as a bike, a standalone bike, is an amazing machine. I'm talking power on tap, extremely comfortable, so my biggest just thing that you would never think of is that he was talking about how, take one of those scales that have, the 2 platforms that kind of, balance something. That's basically what your bike is, because you don't only have 2 wheels. It can lean left, it can lean right. With a standard internal combustion motor, it's not going to be perfectly balanced left to right, because you have your air cleaner hanging off one side, you've got your ignition wires hanging off the other side. Even 1 ounce on one side is going to make that bike unbalanced. With the Livewire, that's not the case. That bike is a perfect 50-50 balanced bike, and you wouldn't think that's a big deal, but even in like a performance mode on that bike, we could sit there cruising in traffic at 2 miles an hour without putting your feet down.
Really?
If you did like a slow bike race on that bike, it would be very hard to lose with that thing, just because it is so perfectly balanced.
Yeah.
My only issue with the Livewire is going to be the price, but I've been fortunate enough to talk to some people kind of higher up in Harley, and from what they've been allowed to tell me, we're pretty much right on the money with saying that it's a brand new technology. They're trying to recuperate some of their R&D costs. It's just like when plasma TVs came out, they were, $5,000. Now you can pick one up for $200.
Yeah.
It's just the more it's produced, the more technology gets out there, they're going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper.
Yeah.
If that bike was in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, it would be an extreme competitor with what I believe any other electric bike out there. Now, of course, I haven't been able to ride any other electric bike, but I don't see anywhere where that bike could improve as it currently sits.
It's interesting. So I think the only thing, and this is for all electric bikes really, because we're kind of on the threshold of having amazing capability with them, and I suppose you could say the same with electric cars as well. So year in, year out, they're all making quantum leaps forward in technology. And this is going to be the same with the bikes as well, and especially with the Livewire. Yeah, I believe there's going to be a trickle-down effect of technology from that bike. And, as the years go on, they're going to, if they stick with it, with the program, which I think they should, then obviously that's going to evolve and price point, will come down, let's say. The only thing got to look out now, and you're probably in a much better position to talk about this than I am over here, is range. The range of that bike and the ability to be able to charge it relatively quickly, because that's only going to be at certain Harley Davidson dealerships, isn't it?
You have a couple different options when charging it. So the quick charge as of right now is only at Harley Davidson dealerships, unless you get one installed at your house. I don't have any details on that, but you can use a regular, over here it's 120 volts, 120 volt outlet to plug it in, and it'll charge. It'll take pretty much all night, but it'll charge it 100% from pretty much dead overnight. So, I mean, your bike's sitting there anyways. I'm okay with that. And, over here, even in San Antonio, which we're not the most technologic advanced city, I'm seeing chargers pop up left and right. I'm talking about everywhere. Pretty much every movie theater has them. A lot of restaurants are putting them in. Shopping centers are putting them in. I mean, they're popping up like crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that they did well is that they standardized the charging ports relatively early in this electric car era. So pretty much every plug is universal at this point. And I know Ford Motor Company just released plans that they're going to install, thousands of units across the country, because they're trying to build the infrastructure for their electric vehicles. So I think that will, like you said, just kind of increase. My biggest worry is I'm really into technology. I like reading, like new patent filings and things like that.
Sure.
And they just put out probably one of the most groundbreaking patents when it comes to battery technology, is that they've completely redesigned how the battery charges. So currently the general consensus is keep the battery as cool as possible and it will get you the most charge.
Right.
Well, they're reversing, I don't know the technical terms around it, but they're reversing something to where they actually heat the battery up, and it allows it to absorb a charge, I think 85% faster than the world's fastest fast charger currently.
Wow.
So if that patent is able to go through, granted, yes, the technology is going to explode, but my worry is are those current chargers that we just spent the last 10 years installing going to be able to do that?
Yeah. Wow. So the chargers that are currently used on the cars, can they charge the Livewire now in the US? They can.
Not the Tesla ones.
No, not the Tesla, but the other ones. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'll say we're sitting right on the threshold of greatness here. I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. Great. I think if you're a city slicker and you're going to use this for commuting left, right, and center, I think look, if you can afford it, why not? It's going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
You know, but it's the range. I think that, you know, for a lot of people, it's price and range right now, which you're talking just over 100 miles, 120, 130 miles
around there. Which that's another thing I touched in the video, and I'll briefly cover it now. But when I was talking to the Harley guys, they said that, well, not just the Harley guys, I've seen this in the electric car scene as well, is that there's no set standard for your range. Well, there is a set standard, but there's a few of them. So what they're like now, when you buy a car, you've got the X miles per gallon highway, X miles per gallon city. Well, there's no sort of test like that everyone has agreed on yet.
Right.
So we're not getting super accurate numbers. We could be getting kind of bottom of the barrel. We could be getting top. We just don't really know. But some of the guys I was talking to at Harley were the beta testers for the Livewire. And the guy said that it's not uncommon for him to, granted, he lives in San Francisco, which is a very hilly area.
Sure.
He said it's not uncommon for him to leave the house with 70 miles of range, going right around and come back and have 80 to 90 miles of range. And he never charged it. So the regen is actually doing most of the work. So
wow.
It's just a new technology, and there's got to be bugs that are worked out on it.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think of the? Let's move on for a live then. What do you think of the Pan America then?
So I only saw the prototype, but it was, I would say, about 85% finished. It looks really good. It looks very good in person. You really get an idea of the scale and everything of it when you see it in person. The front end looks a lot better in person. And I even liked it in the renders, but I even liked it even more.
Sure.
My biggest worry about that's going to be the price. A lot of people are worried about the weight, but with the way that new motor is built, I don't really see weight being as big of an issue, because what people don't understand is it's still a V twin, but I mean, Ducati uses a V twin, KTM uses some V twins. The V twin isn't heavy. It's just what Harley is making them out of and how they make them. That's heavy. So with them going liquid cooled and kind of switching it out for a high horsepower as opposed to a high torque motor, I don't think it's going to be that heavy. As long as they keep it under, I don't know, 700 pounds. I think it's going to be a competitor as long as the price is right.
I think you're right. I mean, it doesn't have to be ultra light. It just has to be within touching distance of the other, adventure bikes in terms of weight, and also for the price. I think for me, the I've seen it up close and personal as well, and for me, it's a bit of an odd looking thing. It's almost got the Fat Bob headlight front end with it. It's almost the one that I saw anyway. The radiator is wrong position for off-road world. It needs to be higher up. It needs to be protected for a start. That's just going to get destroyed straight away. But these are interesting things that Harley can learn straight away from it. Get feedback from people, road test them a little bit or dirt test them a little bit. But I think that the one thing that any off-road bike or any adventure bike's got to be is they've got to be pretty tough. They've got to be resilient, because if they're not, if you take them off-road straight away and they start breaking down, you know what it's like. Social media, YouTube, we're all going to be making videos saying this bike is crap. It, it broke down. And so that's what they've got to watch out for, because especially in the adventure bike world, they're very knowledgeable and very critical of something that just doesn't work. And basically, you need a bike that works. As simple as that.
And that's, I mean, that you've nailed it right there on the head. Because when you're dealing with ADV bikes, I mean, a broken sprocket or something could be the difference between life and death. I mean, if we're looking at the most extreme cases. But I think you're absolutely right. And what scares me about the Pan America is they are jumping into the ring with some of the biggest names in the game. I mean, if you're an ADV rider, you know that the ADV bikes, there's no real crappy ADV bike. They're all built pretty damn good, and they're all pretty damn strong.
Absolutely. Yeah. Excellent. Right. Okay. Here we go. Here's the next question then. If you, within your area, San Antonio, is it a very much American motorcycle scene, would you say? Or is there a mix? You get sort of British, Ducatis, you get a lot of BMWs, all that kind of stuff, or is it pretty much Harleys?
I would say it's a very good mixture, actually. And that's, I mean, pretty much anywhere we ride, I see probably one from every major manufacturer.
Okay, cool.
There's
Cool.
a lot of gold wings in this area, a lot of trikes. Ducatis aren't as common as the rest. See a lot of Indians, see quite a few Triumphs. I mean, it's all over the place, and that applies to both the Harley or the cruiser scene and the street bike scene.
All right.
You see Hondas Gixxers are really big here. Hayabusas are really big here. I mean,
yeah.
You name it, there's probably one in San Antonio.
Yeah. Have you got like a motorcycle club scene as well, where you are not necessarily, back patch type thing, but in like groups, organized groups within your area?
We actually have a lot of MC activity,
really?
including the back patches that you were referring to.
Yeah.
This is Banditos country, so pretty much every MC is going to be either Banditos or Banditos affiliate.
Right.
But some big ones around here. Booze Fighters are really big around here. The Gypsies are big. Guardians of the Children are one of the larger ones here, which that's a group that I do a lot of work with. Got a lot of veteran riders association, things like that. But I would say it's probably more common to see a patched rider as opposed to a non-patched rider.
Oh, really?
I would say the independents are in a minority in San Antonio.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, because as I say, different cultures, different areas, every area's got, motorcycle clubs of one form or another.
Yeah.
In our area, and we've got them, of course, but I wouldn't say there are any great numbers. Definitely the overwhelming majority of people that you will see riding are nothing to do with clubs at all. Just, independent riders just doing their own thing,
Yeah. Completely reversed here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, here's the $6 million question then. What is your favorite bike of all time? Of all time! All time.
Is this one that I've owned or just favorite bike that's been made?
Okay, let's do both then. Your favorite bike you've ever owned and the favorite bike of all time. There we go. I'm going to stop doing that now as I've got a sore throat.
Oh, man. I guess the one that I've owned oh man, no, I'm gonna have to go with my Ultra just because I've got so many more memories on that bike than any of the other ones for now. I mean, of course that's changing all the time.
Okay.
Oh man, of all time, I'm not one to really get set on bikes. I'm gonna make people look this one up just because it's not a manufactured bike. So this group called Motorcycle Missions, which was the charity that received the world record check.
Yeah.
They built a Indian cafe racer. But I mean, this thing was completely, I think the only thing that stayed the same was the motor and the frame. Everything else on the bike was changed.
Right.
And it is one of the cleanest builds I have ever seen. It's a maroon cafe racer. So go and look that up. Right. And it's all first responders. And I think they had 8 guys work on it, and 8 guys got to laser engrave whatever military branch or whatever fire department or police department they were in on the battery box.
Oh,
it just looks so clean. There's actually a shot of it in my upcoming IMS video as well.
Oh, brilliant. That's I do like the cafe style anyway. I've always liked, but actually my one, see, this is so hard as well for me. You ask me my favorite bike, and every week I'll give you a different bike. But my favorite Harley, let's say, of all time, one of my favorite bikes of all time, which will be in my top 10 always, is the Harley Cafe Racer, the XLCR from the early 80s, or late 70s, early 80s. I mean, that's the bike. I think, wow, because it's so different. It's so, for me, it was anti-Harley. Harley is kind of cruisers, chrome, flame. In that era, at least. All flame jobs and everything, and all of a sudden you have this cafe racer. You think, oh, hello, that's a bit different. I like that, so that's for me. Okay, great.
I love anything that Harley does that pisses off the Harley guys.
Yeah,
that's why I got the Fab Bob, and that's why I'm not changing the headlight. because that headlight just pisses so many people off.
Well, it's interesting. Do you think so? Do you think it really does piss people off?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's
really.
So polarizing.
Really? Wow. Because
just go look at my comments.
Yeah, because I when I test rode it, I said exactly the same thing. You're either gonna we call it Marmite over here. You either love it or you hate it. Marmite. I don't know if you know what Marmite is.
No.
Marmite is. You ever heard of Vegemite?
Yes.
Okay, it's similar to that, but it's our own version, Marmite, and it's you either taste it and you think, "Oh my god, that's horrible," or "Oh my god, that's the best thing since sliced bread and sex." I don't know, not the same sentence, probably not the best thing, but you know what I mean. So it's exactly like that. So okay, I hadn't realised that this was a thing. I thought it was just me mouthing off about the headline. Right, okay. Next question then. What motorcycle media do you like? You obviously do YouTube, of course. But what channels do you like? We all have our sort of likes and dislikes, but what are yours and what are the negatives of being a content creator?
It's actually funny that you bring up this question, because the last time I answered this question on an interview, I got ripped to shreds. Well, one person got really upset about it because I don't watch any like motovloggers.
Right.
It's not because so when I said that last time, people were like, "Oh, you don't, support the motovlogging community." No, I absolutely do. I mean, I'll like their posts on Instagram. If they need me to help share something, I do that. If they ask me questions, I'm always willing to help. When I sit down to watch YouTube, I don't want to be in this same world that I lived in all day. Like, do you think a surgeon does surgery all day and then goes home and watch surgery on YouTube? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure there's some that do it, but and it's just, I just kind of got away from it. And when I do go on YouTube, it's one of two extremes. I'm either watching, so I'm really into science. So I'll do I don't know, like a TED talk over, antimatter or whatever it is. And, or it's like fail army cat videos. There's really no in between.
Sure.
I watch a lot of engineering channels where they're doing fabrication and welding and that kind of stuff. But I don't know if it's on purpose that I distance myself from it. But I did find myself when I was watching nothing but motovloggers, is that your style starts to mimic theirs.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to mimic a style self-consciously, I don't want it to be another motovlogging channel.
Yeah. It's interesting you say that, because I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah,
I've always been that. So, I used to have a motorcycle magazine, and I always loved motorcycle magazines. And I thought, right, one day I'm going to start my own, which I did, and I ran that for 3 years. And within that time, from the moment I decided to start my own, I never looked at another motorcycle magazine.
Yeah,
never. And the reason was that I do not want to be corrupted in any way.
Yeah.
And I got exactly the same way about the YouTube channel and the website as well. I very rarely, for research as well. I mean, I look at yours and I look at the other guys, and occasionally I look at what people are doing, but mostly I use YouTube for research. Or like a lot of people, you want to find out how you do something. That's what that's the kind of thing that I look at.
Absolutely,
really. And I have my own interests as well that are not necessarily motorcycle related. So I watch lots of different sorts of content. So, but yeah.
So if I had to, I mean, I take it back. I do watch some motorcycle content, but it's either like Dakar Rally or the Baja 1000 or like the World Enduro Super Series, just because to me that's like watching like a football game or something like that. It's I'm never going to be at that level, but I want to see other people do it. Yeah.
You watching the Dakar at the moment?
No, I let it run all the way through and then I watch it.
Oh, right. Okay.
I like to binge.
Well, by the time this comes out, it would have been and gone, and we would all know what who's going to win. I would say that yes, Sam Sunderland's going to win the motorcycling. There we go.
Oh, you think so?
Possibly.
No two-peat for Toby.
No. Well, I think he's still struggling. He had a great first day, won the first stage. I shouldn't have told you that. Damn. But he's still got wrist problems.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I know. Spoiler alert. But, no, I love my Dakar. Is my favorite race of the year. Love it.
Yeah.
I love the Isle of Man TT, but
Oh,
Dakar,
yeah.
it's just man machine, ultimate test, ultimate endurance. Love it.
I've
Absolutely.
gotten a lot. So I used to be that way until I did more research into the Baja 1000. And I didn't realize that the Baja 1000 wasn't in stages. I always thought it was just like the Dakar where they stopped and then restarted. The Baja is a 24-hour race. They don't stop.
Yeah.
And there's people that do it all by themselves. So that really just engulfed me this year. I watched pretty much every Baja 1000 documentary, either bikes or trophy trucks. I got completely involved in it.
Yeah, so that's great as well. I was saying, and anything that is different and puts you, out in the wilderness or whatever.
Plus, it's in a region. It's in Mexico, which I grew up around the border of Mexico, so I know the type of terrain. I know the dangers and stuff out there. So I can relate to that a lot more. But I will say my favorite thing to watch on YouTube is still the World Enduro Super Series, just because they cover it so well. You get to know the riders, you get to see how hard that terrain is, and I just watch those videos and feel tired after I'm done with them.
Well, I think now the guy who's racing in the Dakar right now, Quintanilla, he was world enduro champion for
back in years. Yeah, it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years ago now, and I think Benavides, the younger Benavides brother, has just won the World Enduros, I think. I could be mistaken there. Anyway, this is off topic, really. So there we go. There's me and you harping on about
motorcycle media. It's on topic.
Right, let's just quickly go back to, are there any negatives, would you say, about, what you do and what I do and what lots of other people do on this sort of YouTube gig, social media gig?
Like, I don't understand the question. Like,
sorry, are there any negatives about being on YouTube? Do you get loads of trolls? Is it a bit invasive sometimes on your time, whatever?
It's it's only negative if you let it be. And that's, I think, one of the hardest things people learn in the first couple of years is you gotta kind of separate yourself at times. Like, for example, I don't read any comments until after 11 a.m. just because I realized that, like you were saying earlier with the events, you go on there and read one negative comment and the 100 positive comments before it are null and void. Like, you don't even care about it. So and it would ruin my day. So I wait until 11 a.m. I'm, kind of halfway through my day and everything like that. And that's when I have a clear head, and then I'll go through and read them. As far as time, that's really up to you. It really depends on how hard you want to push it and also what you're doing. Like, for example, I used to do 3 videos a week, and that burnt me out really quickly. Now I'm at 2 videos a week, and if anything else changes in my life, I'm going to have to go down to 1 video a week, just because it's getting so hard to find the time to do everything. And
sure.
I'm thinking about going back to school this year, so if that happens, I will definitely have to go to 1 video a week. But it's all, you have to understand that, and if you're not doing it full time, no matter how much you want to hype it up in your own mind, it's still just a hobby. And real life has to come first.
Absolutely. And I think you have to find that balance. It's always about balance, isn't it?
Always.
Balance about something that you enjoy and something that is a chore, so. Okay, so here's the very last question. We've been at it for over an hour here now. Okay, so if there's one thing you'd like to change about the motorcycle scene, culture, or motorbikes, what would it be? You got 5 seconds to answer. 5, 4.
The old people.
Sorry,
the old people.
Hey, little less of the old there.
Okay, let me rephrase that. The asshole old people, the boomers, as we call them.
Right.
The guys that. So I'm a fan of, ribbing your buddies if they like Honda versus Yamaha or whatever. But there's people that truly treat people like shit because of what bike they ride, and I think that it's just, that's going to be in everything. The truck guys do it, the car guys do it.
Yeah, sure.
But I feel like with a culture as small and niche as motorcycles, like, it really does need to be an all-inclusive environment. And I think those people just can go kick rocks. If my buddy rides a Honda, I'm gonna give him shit about it, but I expect the same shit back. And it's never in in any harmful way or anything like that.
Sure.
But like I said, I've seen some comments in some forums and things like that, and it's funny. It's even within like, it's funny because I'm still in Sportster groups, I'm in Dyna groups, I'm in touring group on Facebook, and it's so funny that you'll see like a stupid meme pop up of, you know, oh, this guy likes penis because he rides a Sportster, and that same meme will pop up in the Dyna group or the touring group with Dyna on it or something like that. Like it's just the same recycled bullshit, and it's just it's not helping anyone really.
Yeah, it's interesting you say. I mean, I'm not very good at social media. I've got all the social media channels or accounts, but I wouldn't say I'm very active on it a lot. And I sort of pop in and out of groups, as I say, on Facebook. But you're absolutely right. There's some groups that are pretty cool. I gotta say, they're full of, you know, people who are just genuinely interested in certain subject. But then you get other groups that you just think, well, you daren't say anything because, you know, people are just going to jump down your throat for no reason whatsoever,
no matter what.
Yeah, and you think, well, you know, life's too short. You know, as you say, there are some people, whether it's from the Harley world, that are just, you know, so anti any other bike. It's just crazy to me. Or, you know, whether you ride Japanese sports bikes, and there's, you know, there's the hatred between a Honda rider and a Suzuki rider and stuff like that. I just think, well,
why?
You know,
it's a waste of energy.
It is. It's a complete waste of energy. Anyway, and listen, do you want to know what my thing that I would be, what I would do to change the motorcycle world?
Absolutely.
Right. I'm going to tell you. Okay. Even if you don't want to hear it, I'm going to tell you. Okay. Because you have to listen to this, and I want you to make a video about it. Right.
Okay.
Go and do your research. Go and find out the technology and invent this for me. Okay.
Okay.
So I was never really that bothered about whether my bike got dirty. Never. Okay. I come from the dirt bike world, come from off-roading, come from all sorts of different bikes. Didn't really care. Wash it over every now and again. If I could be bothered, that's it. A few months ago, I got myself a Harley, right? Love this bike. Absolutely the best bike ever. Apart from having to clean the bloody thing. I hate cleaning the thing. I need a slave. That's what I need. So I want you to go and invent a bike that cleans itself. There we go.
Are you talking about paint, or are you talking about like
everything? I want it, the whole clean, the bike to clean itself, like the windows that clean themselves. You know, you've got the film on that they never get dirty. I want a bike like that.
Well, you can ceramic coat your paint now, and that will take care of half of it.
No, no,
you're gonna have to spend quite a big chunk of change, but it's
there. You go. Look, I've just made a whole series of videos for you. There we go. Yeah, so how to keep your
tires clean.
That's right. Yeah. So if I could have something like that, you know, if I could, you're not allowed slavery anymore, unfortunately. But if I could, then I would have a slave do it for me.
Yeah.
But in the absence of that, I need a bike that can clean itself.
Well, we did find out that if you take a bike through an automatic car wash, it actually does a really good job.
Really?
Actually, yeah. I was shocked at how good of a job it did.
Oh, I mean, didn't break things off or anything?
No. No, and it was on a Sportster too. So I mean,
were you sat on the bike as well?
I was not. My buddy was sat on the bike in a bikini because he lost a bet.
Because he just likes it like that.
Yeah, that video's on YouTube too. You can go look that up. You can see how clean the bike was too. It was a matte black Sportster, and it came out completely clean.
Really? Wow, amazing. Okay, listen. What can I say? It's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. Thank you for joining me. Have you enjoyed it?
Absolutely, man. I love talking to people, especially when they come from a completely different culture. Well, I think that's one of my favorite things. And I always feel like I was born in the wrong country because like I like enduro bikes. I'm a huge F1 fan. Like, man, I always feel like I watch like 80% of my TV is like British television.
All right. Okay. Oh, brilliant. Well, come on over. Come on over.
It's gotten so bad that I actually used the word posh yesterday, not in a like condescending way. It just came out instead of, because our word is fancy, and it came out posh. I was like, what the hell did I just say that?
You'd be saying mate and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, man. God, it's so bad.
Well, Brendan, listen, look, everybody go check out Justin's channel, Biking Bear, because it's absolutely fantastic. Loads of really cool stuff there. Go check him out on all his social media stuff. I'll put it up there again. You're on Instagram and all that. What's your most used social media? Is it Instagram, would you say?
Instagram is my most active. Facebook's probably a close second.
All right. Okay, cool. So go check him out there. But listen, thanks very much for joining me today.
Absolutely, man. I had a blast.
Right, thanks very much. Right, so everybody out there, please like, share, subscribe, leave those comments below. Let us know what you think about Justin and his channel, and what we've talked about, all the bikes and the on-road and off-road kind of riding. And, well, I'll catch you again on the next video. Come in very, very soon for another Oh My Harley. Justin, can you say that? Can you say Oh My Harley for me?
Oh My Harley.
Oh, do it again. Shout it, fella.
Oh My Harley!
Oh my Harley! He said it. I can't believe he said it. That's fantastic. Right. Catch you again. Ta-da then.